This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on this fine August?
Hey, John. It's like finally. I mean, after shipping issues, after like scheduling problems, it's like I can finally talk about all the stuff that Brian Michael Bendis has been doing at DC. Because like when news broke that he had jumped ship from Marvel to the distinguished competition, but it's like a little over a year back. It's like it was kind of like, whoa, what the hell happened? Because Bendis had always like demonstrated a huge faithfulness to his to Marvel. It's like whenever someone was asked him, would you ever like to write for another publisher, like being DC? It's like he said no. I'm having lots of fun at Marvel, and they gave me my big break, and so it's like I'm fully committed to them. So and committed he was. I mean, he aside from writing like Ultimate Spider-Man for it's like well over 200 issues. It's like creating Miles Morales and Jessica Jones. It's like doing like 100 plus issue stints on the Avengers, doing mixed to decent runs on Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men. It's like there's not really like a corner of the Marvel universe that Bendis hadn't touched. I mean, at this point, there wasn't really like a whole lot left for him to not to write about. And on one hand, it's like so you kind of figured that kind of like figured into his plans to jump over to DC because hey, it's like at this point it's like why not try writing for like a bunch of characters and that I haven't had as well. And to my surprise, that Bendis also decided to use this time to get back to doing his creator-owned stuff as well, because he's been extremely prolific. It's like at Marvel, like writing in like the Marvel universe. One thing he's really let slide over the years was his creator-owned work, because he churned out fair number of volumes of Powers with Michael Oeming at under the Icon imprint. His efforts to launch new titles like Brilliant, Scarlet, and the United States versus Murder Inc. After the initial run of issues, then they were either plagued by awful delays or just kind of dropped right off the face of the map after their initial outing. So or both. So when it was announced that Bendis would not only be taking over the Superman titles, it's like at DC, but he would also be doing 4 creator-owned miniseries under the Jinx World banner. It's at DC. I was kind of skeptical. I mean, not so much skeptical about his Superman stuff because, well, I mean, Bendis has showed that he can handle that his priority is with the the superhero stuff in universe even, but for him to do 4 creator-owned titles, all coming out at around the same time. It's no, this is going to be this is going to be another. This could be another train wreck, and well, I was wrong. Not Bendis did manage to get all of his creator-owned titles out in a timely fashion. As far as actual follow up on these titles, well, we'll see about that. I mean, Powers is scheduled. A new volume of Powers is scheduled to come out later this year, but I have to give him credit for actually for not letting the schedule get behind any of these. It's like any of these titles. Actually, I think one of them is scheduled to come back, but we'll get to that later. But as far as his creator-owned titles, well, the 4 of them are new volumes of Scarlet and United States versus Murder Inc., and 2 all-new creations, Pearl and Cover. Now, I think that these are all generally all right. I think the TLDR version of this is that all of them have great ideas and some really and some really well done conversation conversation and character interaction stuff between them, because Bendis can't not write interesting character to character dialogue, but they all kind of suffer from from I guess you could say world building issues in the sense that there's some I kind of wanted more to make these like the worlds these characters inhabit feel it's like like feel valid and real. And but then again, I'm not sure if he had done that, that would have helped Scarlet because Scarlet more than any of the other creator-owned titles he's let lapse over the years. This is like the most biggest example I can see of wasted potential because it's about a woman who whose life was torn apart by some corrupt cops and how she decides to start fighting back against a system like in the United States that she feels is broken and unworkable. Now, that is a very, very relevant it's plot line to have. And when Bendis and Alex Maleev were doing this when the series came out, I think 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I really liked the first volume. It made my best of list for that year. Was it 2014, 2015? It's been so long, I can't remember. But then after like this first volume came out, then there were two more issues followed, and then nothing for like 3 years. After which the final 3 issues of that volume dropped within space of like 2 to 3 weeks, which are like, what the fuck, man? And then nothing again because what the hell? But apparently like one of the priorities that Bendis had with starting at DC was, hey, I want to get this going again. And this new volume of Scarlet, confusingly labeled Volume 1, even though there are two previous volumes to this, it's like it starts off in a war-torn, it's like a version of Portland, which is kind of like, you're like, what the hell? How did we get from the end of Volume 2 where it's like right here, there's a riot breaking out in the city, but now we're in kind of like it's almost kind of like a no man's land here. So, and apparently it's like apparently like things just we're meant to understand that things just escalated in Portland to the point where they were able to cut it off from the U.S. and that apparently like the optics of the U.S. attacking the city just started to look really bad, which okay, fine. It just seems like kind of like a rather large jump for for a city to cut itself off like that. I mean, hey, maybe this is something that will happen in the next year or so, but hey, don't quote me on that. But it just feels this volume requires a rather large like leap on behalf of the reader to get behind what they're doing here. I mean, it's just like these kids who are almost in over their head, who all identify with Scarlet, and they believe in what she's doing. And as for Scarlet herself, she's still barely holding it together. Trying to keep this revolution she started going, even though she realizes that, hey, I'm just one person in one city up against the might of the U.S. Army, and everywhere else. And that's where things start. And then we find out that the U.S. wants to negotiate with her. And things are fraught from there with, like bad actors and actions on both sides, until you get to the very end when you find out that, well, maybe Scarlet wasn't quite as behind the eight ball as she thought she was. And okay, it requires another leap on the part of the reader to assume that this is happening as well. And I'm like, okay, it's like it's not that I don't agree with Bendis's like assumption that things are bad and broken and need a fixing right now, but at the same time, though, it's like I'm not really seeing the way a way for things to be better through Scarlet, and and also it's like I don't feel like it's like really quite there in terms of accurately reflecting our world. I mean, it's kind of like a worst I'll admit, it's like it does kind of feel like a worst case scenario, but it still kind of feels like he's kind of like teasing at real change rather than actually showing us what it looks like. He's playing with the idea of, it's like, hey, revolution, and like, revolution for what? Not sure yet, but we'll get there. That's, I mean, like, I want to like this a lot, and Maliv does do some great gritty art in capturing like the look of this, of Scarlet and her revolution, but you know, even getting past the fact that Bendis has a lot still needs to make up has a lot to make up for in terms of just letting this series die on the vine over the years. Um, this new run of Scarlet is a little step in that direction, but can't really say it's like the one that I would recommend that people go and check out, like above everything else that he's of these new creator-owned titles he's done. Now this this next title, Pearl, comes to us from Bendis and artist Michael Gaydos. Gaydos, if you remember, was his collaborator on Alias and Jessica Jones. So basically, like these guys who gave us Jessica Jones and Pearl kind of feels like their answer to, hey, great job creating a memorable female protagonist who stands apart from the crowd. Now go ahead and do it again. Okay, so the Pearl of the title is Pearl Tanaka. She is a tattoo artist working in San Francisco's Japantown district, who meets this nice guy. It's like a fellow tattoo aficionado, Rick, one night, and when he recognizes her spider tattoo that was done by a master, Itaguchi, it's like they kind of hit it off, and until their meeting is interrupted by a bunch of thugs on bicycles, and Pearl, without thinking, at a point busts out a gun and shoots one of them when Rick is in danger. This brings her to the attention of one of the big yakuza bosses in town, Mr. Mike, who basically realizes that, hey, he's had this great professional sitting under him all this time, and he wants to use her talents, especially after the fact that she may have started a gang war with the person she killed. Problem is that one of the first people who on the list of potential targets that Mr. Mike gives to for her to knock off, well, Rick's on there. Now, it's like Pearl is it feels like it's Bendis' attempt to get back to the street level crime stories that he made his name with. It's like stuff like Jinx and It's like Jinx and Goldfish. It's like, and I guess you could throw Torso in there, but not quite. That's not really I'm digressing there, but Pearl is basically the story of one woman being thrust into the position of working for the Japanese mob, and how she has to deal with that as it basically upends her, everything she knows about her personal life. Now, Bendis does a good job of getting us inside Pearl's head and how she feels about this, and it's as well as how Rick feels about this, and and Pearl's best friend Kimmy. He does a good job of making these characters likable and sympathetic, and we want to know what's going to happen to them over the course of the story. The problem is that there's all the other stuff that's happening around them. It feels, a lot of the story feels kind of like Pearl is just kind of reacting to the forces greater than her control, and it's just such a story kind of reads like she's kind of being bounced from one one action scene to the next almost. And then there's also stuff about her mother, and apparently the big secret role that she played. It's in the Yakuza as well, and it kind of really feels kind of half baked. By the end of the story. One thing that doesn't feel half baked though are the sensible antagonists, the Endo twins. it's like smut peddlers come money launderers. It's like who are really kind of fuck ups, but it's like and they've got their it's like and they wind and they're like behind the people that were it's like that were terrorizing Pearl and Rick on their like in their initial meet cute, but they've got it's like they've got their own interesting history about how they became how like they got into the money laundry business. It's like and it's like it's fun to read about just how these guys how they think they're much more I don't know, I guess skilled or influential than they actually are, and just watch that kind of come and bite them over the many times over the course of the volume. That was kind of fun, and to be honest, I was also kind of wishing that maybe we'd gotten a volume all about them, and that Pearl was kind of like the mysterious hit woman who'd come to try and take them out as well. But that's not what we got. And yeah, like Pearl and the Endo twins will be back for future stories, and I'm pretty sure. I have to go and double check. I think that that Bendis and Gatos are kind of working on the second volume as we speak. But it's overall, I get to just file this in under like not bad. I mean, not means like it didn't have like the whole like your reading sling that is different and brand new, like a new way of looking at old stuff that Jessica Jones hit the stands with in Alias. I mean, Pearl is just it's like a good it's a good decent enough crime story. It's like and it's fine. And Gatos's art is very very moody, often experimental. It's like over like in certain points in each. It's like in each issue, and yeah, I'll keep reading it. I can't say that this really just got me though. Still, next up though is Cover, and this yes, I think this is probably like probably the best of Bendis's creator owned stuff, and this is brand new because well you could say that that Pearl is kind of like is Bendis and Gatos' efforts to try and make lightning hit twice and excuse me in terms of female protagonists. Cover is Bendis and his frequent collaborator David Mack trying to tell us like an all new story about a guy Max Field who like he's a comic book artist who apparently like accumulated some fame through by doing the series Ninja Sword Odyssey, and that allows him to make out to eke out a successful living in comics and get invited to to conventions on a frequent basis. Just set up shop in Artist Alley, go on panel, be asked to panels and ask for his opinion on on these things, and also podcasts as well. So he's not kind of like A-lister type level. He's not like your Jim Lee type type guy, but he's a guy who's able to have a fairly successful career, just traveling all around, because of what he's done, and that's what attracts the it's like see the attention of this of this one woman. It's like Julia. It's like who he meets her one day, finds out that she's a fan, and she buys a bunch of art, and it's like and then he meets her at another convention. They go out to dinner. It's like and she tells him that she works at Langley, that Langley, CIA, type Langley, and it's like at one point, and then while they're kind of hitting it off, she has to leave him high and dry during dinner because something came up, and then a couple months later he finds out that he's been invited to this convention in Istanbul, and when he finally gets there, he sees that the person at the airport who's has his driver for the duration of his stay, who has the name Max, waiting for him when he gets off the plane. Well, it's Julia, because it turns out that she's not only that she's not really a spy, but she is deep into the CIA, and she views Max's work as being like perfect cover, for for their plans. Like, hey, because and comic book artists and writers and creators just get asked to conventions all over the world because hey, it's like these conventions pop up wherever. So why not recruit one of these guys to do stuff for them? And that's kind of what she does. Like Max winds up delivering a tchotchke to the president of the prime minister of Istanbul, who and that will apparently allow the CIA to see into his man cave, and then later on, it's like he winds up being it's like being I'm taken into a room and just beaten within an inch of his life by another creator, a guy by the name of Assad Sins, because apparently Sins has also been recruited to do the same kind of work that Max has done by some other country. Who? We don't know. It's like, but apparently it's like people who back Sins are pissed that that someone like Max is doing this stuff, and it's like, and it's like there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about what Max does here. That lots of the people don't know about Julia is having him do. It's like, it's like, why is she having why is it essential that the CIA see what's going on in the prime minister of Turkey's man cave? We don't know. It's like, what are they going to gain by throwing their own comic book convention in Brazil? Hopefully good stuff for us, but I really don't have a problem with the not knowing what's really going on here, because the story is told almost entirely from Max's point of view, and his feelings of confusion and and disbelief about what's going on are really communicated well to the reader. I mean, his his uncertainty and desperation, those that translate to our uncertainty and desperation as well. It's like, is he doing the right thing here? I mean, even when he manages to get inside Sin's head and presents the idea of maybe he can flip Sin's over to our side. It's like, is that a good thing? Possibly, but but all Max knows is that hey, it's like, okay, so I'm working for someone who works for the CIA, and it's like I want to, and they're ostensibly doing good stuff for our country. So it's an interesting read on that level, and and there's a lot of fun stuff seeing how Max interacts with his friends. And this kind of the friendly bullshit that they talk about with each other. Like this banter between comics creators just feels real and fun throughout the course of the series. And it's like I said, it's an interesting story, just communicate about uncertainty and not knowing, that I think is communicated well. What I wish Bendis had done better would be to lay out, just how the comics nature of this world functions, because it seems that Max just kind of exists in kind of he was able to do his own indie book without working for any kind of Marvel and DC type superhero stuff. Excuse me. And that's kind of annoying, because it's you kind of figured he would at least pay lip service to the idea that, okay, you do stuff Image to get noticed, then you work for Marvel and DC to get famous, then you go back to Image or any other company to do the creator-owned stuff that you really like Max's own Ninja Sword Odyssey, which that's regarding that series. Bendis and Mac commit kind of the cardinal sin for when it comes to talking about work, work in a fictional setting. Because okay, it's one thing to say that this series Ninja Sword Odyssey was popular and well done enough to get Max basically have Max get a career, but to actually show it to us, um, what we see of it, and doesn't really like it. Just it feels really slow and kind of ponderous. And at the end, when we find out that that how its creator, like, kind of the art its creator was making was kind of like gave rise to the idea of manga. It's kind of like, oh yeah, sure. I don't know. It's like it feels really easy to gloss over that stuff, and there is something analogous to what Max is doing in the story. But to be honest, I wish that Bendis and Mac had just skipped over actually showing us what Ninja Sword Odyssey looked like. And to be honest, it's a lot. The comic Ninja Sword Odyssey is a lot more ponderous than you'd expect a title called Ninja Sword Odyssey to be. And also, when it comes to like showing us titles that are supposed to be popular and well received in comics, only Bakuman has actually even come close to pulling off that idea. And it's really not. And what's done on cover is not in the same league. I'm glad that the main story for cover is still pretty good, actually. So there you go. Okay, and then we've got United States versus Murder Inc., which is Bendis's other collaboration with Michael Oeming that he also his co-creator on Powers with. And this was, there's there is a big volume number 2 on it. So yeah, this is meant to be follow on like from the first one. Good job on that. Why couldn't you have done this for Scarlet? God damn it. Okay. Anyway, but United States versus Murder Inc. follows on from the original series, which established the idea that the 5 families, it's like of the 50s and 60s in the U.S., that they were never really taken down by the government. They only grew bigger and bigger to the point where they eventually had to cede the U.S. had to cede control of part of the country to them. It's like in order to form in order to get free of of their influence. Well, it's like at the end of the first volume, maid band Valentine Gallo and hitwoman Jagger Rose had been hung out to dry by their families until they found out that it was all part of a plot. By the United States, and now they're back in their good graces. The story starts off with an interesting two-parter flashback that shows us the history of Jagger Rose, how she basically became the first hit woman. For the mob. For the 5 families. All the bullshit she had to go through as well, and dealing with her. Was it Uncle Mike? Uncle Jake. It's fun, and it's fun seeing seeing her go through this, and fun and shocking, especially after you find out what happens when Jake takes her to the guy they caught who killed her dad, and he tells her okay, well, this is the guy that killed your dad, so whatever happens next is going to determine whether how you're going to how things are going to go with you and the family. Well, she winds up becoming a hit woman. You can probably can guess how things went from there. But it's a even if the overall flow of the story is familiar, Bendis and Oeming do make it engage. It's an engaging lark as we just showing us how Jagger learns the tools of the trade, and showing us her her easygoing relationship with Uncle Jake up until the end, at least. So, but then the the next 4 issues, basically deal with the United States hitting hitting Murder Inc. Hard, and 5 families assigning Valentine and Jagger a proportional response to this attack that leads them to basically stage an try and assassinate the president of the United States. So, as far as how that goes, it's like, well, it it goes. It's on one hand, it's like I think that this does kind of suffer from like a lack of proper world building. Just trying to give us a good idea of like where everything is, but just giving us ideas about okay, like this is where the U.S. There's the U.S. There's this mob-run country, like, and there's the attack. It's like there's like the president. Then they want to take out the president, and then there's fallout from that, and then there's stuff that's going to go on from there. It kind of feels if you can accept that and not think too hard about just how is this world supposed to function and all. It's like then you'll have a good time. I mean, I think there's lots of style here because Oming has. I mean, he nails like the psychedelic freak out stuff. I mean, like I loved what he was doing in in Cave Carson's series, and even though it's like this doesn't like give him like the same kind of like freedom to just go completely, it's like off the rails here in terms of drawing just like utter cosmic craziness. There's just like really, it's just like this confident style here that he has in showing us just how off kilter, and how just crazy everything can look, especially when it's like when Jagger and Valentine are on the run in Japan, and you follow their path all over the page like it's a maze, and there's a maze in the background. It's just really vibrant here, and it's like even though it's like a lot of the stuff is just kind of like talking heads, Oming knows how to stage the stuff just to maximum style to make it to make these conversations just seem really really compelling as it is, especially when Valentine is talking with his quote unquote FBI handlers about the fallout from the from the assassination, and how it's like, and just how things go from bad to worse as he's talking to them. It's like I said, it's entertaining on its own terms. It's just you kind of have to accept the big picture stuff that's being dealt with here without thinking too hard about it, really. And to be honest, I do really like the last issue where Valentine confronts his mom about the role she had for him in terms of setting up the being an informant for the for the FBI. But so it turns out that after everything he's been through, Valentine has some other thoughts about about how all this is supposed to go down. And I'll admit, it wasn't what I was expecting, and that's what I liked about it. So even if I've got issues with believing in how all this holds together, it's still I still want to like this, and I can, and there's enough style here that I can get past the the issues with the bigger picture stuff about how this world is supposed to function. So there you go. It's a win for me. It's a win for me at least. So, but finally, we're here on it's like the first of Bendis' contributions to the DC universe, and that would be the Man of Steel. His 6-issue prologue to his runs on Action Comics and Superman. Now, if you're thinking, well, wait a second, why do you need 6 issues of prologue to to 2 ongoing titles? It's like, well, you've kind of stumbled upon the biggest problem with this volume, because this is basically setting up all the several different storylines that Bendis is going to come back to in those 2 titles. First of which being Rogol Zar, who is a who's a kind of outer space warrior, common to DC. He's kind of like Lobo, only without the sardonic over the top sense of humor, just a really self-serious look on his face. Oh, and yeah, he apparently is the reason that Krypton blew up. Yeah, think about that for a second, because we're meant to believe that Krypton was destroyed because Rogol Zar believed that the Kryptonians represented a great threat to the universe, and while he pleaded his case to its higher powers, they said no, and then, well, what didn't you know? Krypton blew up anyway. Now he's back. Now he's finally found his way to Earth after realizing that hey, turns out there's one more Kryptonian out there that I need to take care of. So that's that's one story thread here. Then there's a matter of what happened to Lois Lane and Superman's son John Kent. So what did happen to them? Huh. Good question. Well, they they apparently disappeared to parts unknown, and the reason for that is teased out over like several different over over the course of these 6 issues. Interesting enough, while it was kind of like laughed at the idea that Jason Fabok was contributing like individual pages to these the 6 issues of these of this miniseries, his contributions actually kind of like tie up nicely, like dovetailing into his final issue, where as we find out just what was going on with this mysterious force that shows up one day at Superman's apartment. Doesn't really mean him no harm, but then when you find out what's like who it really is, it's kind of like, wow, okay, we'll see. Let's see what that it's like where that's going. It's kind of interesting, but but it's a thread that I kind of feel was like meant to introduce drama for drama's sake more than anything else. Oh, and then there's the fact that apparently someone's setting fires in like in Metropolis, and Superman and Batman apparently can't figure out it's who's behind it. Oh, and apparently the Daily Planet might have been sold for parts as well, but we'll get back to that. I assume at some point. There's there's a lot going on here, even though like the Rogol Zar stuff really comes to dominate the story as it progresses throughout these 6 issues, and it's like I don't think there's really anything wrong or bad about how Bendis writes Superman. When I mean, it's like he kind of writes him the way I expect him to, just polite. It's like polite, maybe a little like maybe just a touch sarcastic at certain points. And I'm capable of getting really mad. It's like when someone manages to like find a reason to get at him, as Rogol Zar does with a kind of a big deal thing to the Superman mythos. Even though, well, if you think about it, it's like no one's actually done anything with this particular thing. Like for all of Superman's 80 years, I guess I can't really blame him too much for for doing this, but they can bring it back like not too hard if they wanted to think about it. But getting back on topic, I think that Bendis writes Superman just fine. I don't really feel there's anything really special about him though. It's like there's not really like when comparing like how Bendis wrote New Avengers to how Avengers used to be written. I felt there was kind of like an energy, and his decompressed style made the story and the character in action stand out more. So, but reading his Superman stuff, I mean, it's not really. It just doesn't feel like it's kind of like a oh, hey, Bendis is going to write Superman. It's going to be awesome. It's it's just kind of just about what I expect. So it's not really bad. It's not really bad. It's not really like as shockingly good as I expect, as you would expect or hope, I guess. I mean, it just kind of feels like along the same lines of his Marvel stuff. Down to like the characters randomly insert randomly throwing in like Jewish Jewish slang as well. So, but but will I keep reading it? Sure. I mean, it's like I mean, it's like I said, it wasn't bad, and I'm kind of, and he does set up a lot of stuff to be followed up on later, like as things go on. So in terms of like getting me to come back, well, sure, it's like it comes out fine, and it's like the art is nice, even if like stylistic consistency is just kind of a it's a foreign notion to what like it's like to what's um like to this volume because in addition to Fabak, we've got Jim Lee, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Ivan Rice, Evan Shaner, Stephen Rude, Ryan Sook, Kevin McGuire, and Adam Hughes contributing art to this volume. So it's a murderer's row of talent. But it's like I wouldn't have minded if they had just managed to get any one of those artists to just draw the whole thing themselves. But this is the weekly series, so I guess it's kind of nice that we got this murderer's row as it was. So how to say like assess Bendis's arrival at DC? Well, I'm glad that he's doing creator owned stuff again. I mean, no, it's not all of it was the home run that I was really hoping for, but cover was pretty good, and United States versus Murder Inc. Is satisfying if in no other way than in its style over substance kind of approach. So Pearl, I'm willing to give it give it some time to see how it shakes out. And Scarlet, well, hey, anytime you guys want to feel like getting back to it, actually developing this series in the way it deserves to be to live up to its potential, go for it. I don't see that happening though, considering that you're busy with Event Leviathan right now. But it's like it's fine. I think that I guess it's not towards the end of Bendis's tenure at Marvel. It really started to feel like he was like his output was just kind of like was a lot more shaky than I had liked. He wasn't like the oh my god, I got to read everything he does. Kind of feel that I get from new volumes of work from Kieran Gillen and Jonathan Hickman these days. And his DC stuff, well, kind of it's like I mean it's decent stuff, but it's not just the kind of like shock of the new that I was expecting, and I think that DC was expecting as well. Will I have more stuff to say about this stuff as it goes on? Sure. I mean, it doesn't really give me any reasons to stop reading his stuff. That's for sure. So overall, it's like if you're on the fence, then I don't think there's a lot here that would convince you to get off of it. But it's like everyone who, if you were like holding out on his work because like oh man, it's DC man, I don't know, but go ahead and give it a shot. It's like I mean he hasn't really changed just because he's working for the crosstown rivals now. It's like doesn't mean that he's really changed. His same style, strengths, and weaknesses are still there. It's like, and I'll still keep reading it. As long as I find his stuff enjoyable, which it is. So there you go. So John, so I hope you haven't fallen
Give
asleep.
it
Yeah.
a shot.
Yes.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
That's about the best recommendation you can get for it. So, all right. That's about the only thought I have. As for anything else, what are you planning on next time?
Oh, next time is going to be the end of an era as I tackle like the last run of BPRD comics from Mike Mignola and company. So, is it after like all these years? Does it deliver us like a satisfying follow up? Or have I just been wasting my time and the 33 previous volumes as well?
Stay tuned for the next time on Comic Picks by the Glick, and you'll find the answer to that.
Yes.
All right. Talk to you later.